All right. Hello, everybody. What's up? How's everybody doing? We are here on a very chill recap. I want everybody to get some food, get some drinks. This is not going to be super, super intense. We're just going to sit, relax. I got some Coke Zero. I got some ice. And I got some BBQ chips. Okay. And we're going to be here. And we're going to have a little discussion. Oh, you like that snap right when I said discussion? Over our good friend Palantir. Did the camera just... Oh, no, the camera's good. Okay. I hope everyone's had a fun afternoon. It's been pretty fun for a variety of reasons. I was going to wear the jersey with not this undershirt, but I'm starting to get cold now. And I think I've been showing off the guns a little bit too much today. So you got to let them breathe a little bit, or else they get boring. So decided to wear a little undershirt and just chill out a little bit, especially because this is more chill. Don't have to be too intense. We're gonna let people get in here for a little bit, and then we'll start. This was a fun day. I'll have the official Daily Palantir episode out tomorrow, discussing a more condensed understanding of my thoughts, going through every single specific number, the stuff that really stood out to me. So this call is really just for us as a community to kind of just chill, and really I want to hear from everybody else in the comments and what you guys think about Palantir's price action, your thoughts, and overall expectations on earnings. They are guns, okay? They're reasonable guns. They're not like heavy guns, but they're like, we're loading them up. They're getting there. We're getting back to the gym. So, and then we'll keep going. Christian Soda says, is this where Amit takes a victory lap or when he agrees with Chris? No, I actually vehemently disagree with Chris. I do think people give him too much shit about his investing style. Like, he's not going to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars into Palantir if he doesn't see the doubling or tripling potential in, a couple of years. Like, that's just not how he invests. He finds different opportunities. But I think if you guys saw Finance Junkies, I vehemently disagree with his analysis of where the market's going and what he thinks about the earnings, simply because I think they put up the numbers, dude. This is not one of those earnings calls where they didn't put up the numbers. And because this is one of those calls where they actually put up the numbers, I'm a lot more excited about the trajectory of growth for Palantir because I can see the growth in my own eyes, and that's why it's super, super exciting. Let me know how your guys' afternoon went. What were you doing? Were you in the stream? I'll talk about the stream for a little bit, and then we'll get into the numbers. Again, this is supposed to be very chill. So for anyone who's here who wants me to be as rapid fire as I was last night, I think I said literally 15,000 words in the course of 90 minutes last night. That's not the energy of the stream. We're just going to be chilling, just going to be relaxing. I'm going to be taking some sips of my Jack and Coke right here. There's no Jack in the Coke. There's just Coke. And then we're just going to be relaxing. We're just going to be chilling. So not that intense, really something where you should be laying back. I have that TV right there that we're probably going to put in the background here. But usually before I go to sleep, I'll be on that bed and I actually just turn on the TV. I try going to Netflix and there's nothing, dude. I end up just going back to YouTube. And in that moment, I just want to chill, relax, and just have someone who's saying something interesting and just fall asleep to them. So if you're in that sleepy mode, let me let you fall to sleep as I'm talking, and it's not going to be super, super intense around literally just analyzing every little thing, right? That'll happen tomorrow. But this is one where we could all just relax and, at least for today, take a little victory lap. Cheers to Palantir doing the damn thing. Here we go. Oh man, Coke Zero. It tastes like Coke. I don't know how they did it. Not Diet Coke, Coke Zero. They make it taste like Coke. They really do. I don't know how these. I'm probably gonna die early for them figuring out how to do this shit, but they do it, and it's so good. It's so good. Okay, so a couple things I want to talk about. I'm on the default microphone. You guys did not correct me. All right, I'm happy. I checked 4 minutes into this thing. Now we got the good mic here. Done with the Celsius, dude. This thing is disgusting. This is so disgusting. There's all of it's left, dude. All of it's a waste of money. It's so bad. I will buy some stupid Celsius because the thing keeps growing ridiculously. And I keep seeing it sold out everywhere. But it's not because I like it. It's not because I like it. Not at all. Short it? No, I wouldn't short Celsius. The growth is ridiculous. It's absolutely insane. Valuation is a little but it doesn't require a short. but I'm not buying it because I like the drink. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the stream, and then we'll get into some of my high-level thoughts on earnings and the discussion. First of all, I think the stream was really fun, and shout out to everyone who came to the stream. It was really humbling, seeing 5,200 people there, and Palantir's live stream at 3,000 people. So we had more people, sign up for our stream and just come in as a part of the community that we built here, versus the actual company themselves. And I'm sure there was plenty of new people that were just searching Palantir for the first time, and we popped up, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. A lot of people reached out to me kind of saying like, 5,000 is a really big deal, and that was more than Palantir, and you got to take that seriously. And I just want to say, first of all, first and foremost, everyone who joined, it's incredibly humbling. It's like kind of surreal to even think of it. And it's exciting, and it's nothing without the people that were there. I mean, the people that were there are people that have been here since 2021. People like Growth Stock Wiz in the chat. Dude, this guy's 10,000 shares at an average of $8, $7.95. So it's just like someone like him being part of the stream who's been here for like 2 years and followed along with the content and all this stuff. And there's many more like him. It's just awesome. It's really, really, really awesome that everyone's here. Was this your highest viewed stream? I think on the one before this, we had 5,500. I don't think we touched 5,500 on this one. But still, like 5,000 people. It's 5,000 people just there. And it was kind of crazy because my thing is, as excited as it was, there's two caveats I had to this. Number one, I try not to get high on my own supply. So, whenever we reach a subscriber number on YouTube or a follower number on Twitter, I really don't say anything about it, because to me, it's like, this is such a long game, and getting excited over a little number that will go down if you don't keep working, it's just not the way to do this in the social media game. Like, you can't get excited over little things. You have to keep going further and further and further. If you get excited, like, you can sit back and reflect, but it's not something to publicly be super excited about, because you really haven't done anything in the grand scheme of media, right? And media careers, they'll disappear like that. You stop posting, you stop being creative, you stop being entertaining, people lose interest that quickly. So you really do have to have a certain mindset, I think, when it comes to media, because I'm going for the long game here of like, if you want to win, you got to fucking like just keep it going. And this is one thing I respect Kevin for. I mean, like, this guy just keeps going no matter what, and his numbers are already, obviously still insane. Second thing is that the one thing that I really did like about having 5,000 people there in the stream, the one thing I really did like is I got to say some jokes. And it's like, it's just like I test my jokes max to about 1,100 people on the market open, which I'm very humbled by, because I get all of them in the chat saying that this guy's not funny. And I'm like, I know you guys think I'm funny. You're just wanting to, this little combative parasocial relationship I have with the chat. It is what it is. But those 5,000 people, because Palantir was up 20%, they didn't really care to criticize my lack of funniness. They were just so excited that they ended up just being like, this guy's kind of funny. Like, so I think the fact, now if the stock was down 15% and I tried to make some of those jokes, yeah, it would be off with my head. Let's just say that. It would be like, it was literally the best timing for the jokes. So really, like, Kelly was texting me. She was like, how did it feel about having 5,000? I was like, dude, I got to say one of the jokes I really wanted to say. And, the reaction wasn't, oh, it was so bad. The reaction was, haha, that's funny. Oh, by the way, it's up 19%. I'm like, that's all I needed. That's it. That's all I needed. So that was really the cool part of having those people there. In all seriousness, it was fun. It was exciting. And I think it's a testament to the community, dude. What other community is doing this shit? There's only Tesla. That's it. There's only Tesla. Tesla and Palantir are the only two stocks that'll get 5,000 people on one channel, dude. Google didn't do that for any of the channels I looked at. They're like, the actual Google YouTube channel, when they stream the earnings call, had like 12,000 people, but that's like the legitimate channel that has millions of subscribers. I'm talking about someone who follows a company every single day for the past couple of years. There's only Palantir and Tesla. That's it. And if Palantir does anything like Tesla does, well, it's going to be fun. It's going to be very, very, very fun. Ryan says, open my son's first trading account on Robinhood on his 11th birthday. Proud owner of 10 Palantir shares. And now he wants to start a YouTube channel like you. I love it. This is awesome, man. This is super, super, super awesome. But Kathy Wood bought a ton of Robinhood today. So Robinhood is the next big earnings for me. That's going to be on February 12th. PayPal's obviously this week. We'll see what happens there. But I'm happy that he started on Robinhood. I'm happy he has 10 Palantir shares, and I'm happy he wants to make content. Again, for me, and I'll just say this last thing about the stream. I say this all the time, and I hope you guys never forget it. I am so fucking grateful to be in this opportunity and just have the chance to perform and entertain and hopefully add some commentary and some value. And it's just like, like my mom, I was talking to her when I went downstairs, and she was like, did you get nervous when there were 5,000 people? And I'm like, no, because if I was nervous, I wouldn't have made those jokes. Like, to me, like, the thing that really got me a little scared going into the earnings? I was going to wear some suit and tie, and then like last minute, I was like, nah, I'm going to put on a jersey. And I didn't have this undershirt. So it was just my bare guns showing, okay? My little AK-47s, know what I'm talking about? And I was just like, well, not only will the audience potentially be intimidated by those guns because they're just AK-47s, but more importantly, like, will they not take me that seriously because I'm wearing a hat and a basketball jersey on a $40 billion company's earnings? And then I thought of it and I was like, well, maybe that's the reason they're here. They don't want to see Rishi Jaluria, in his suit and tie on CNBC talk about Palantir. They want, they want something a little different. And so that was the only thing I was nervous about it. But once I settled into that for like the first, 10 minutes, I was just like, all right, let's just get to the numbers and let's do our analysis and we'll keep going from there. So it was fun. It was really, really fun. And it was super, super exciting for being here. Alfonso says, admit I could not find you for market close or Palantir earnings. Not sure why anybody else had this happen. Sometimes it's the YouTube algo. If you go to live on my YouTube channel, it'll pop up. I'm sorry they didn't recommend it to you. Sometimes it's just YouTube, but it should be there, and you can check it out. So Christian says it's a new age. We don't want to watch CNBC. We want retail and people like us. That's the other thing, dude. I think all of us that are in the chat are retail. None of us, I would imagine, are institutional. I don't know if anyone has a hedge fund here, but we beat fucking Wall Street, dude. We fucking beat them. Like, we beat them. Now, the story is going to play out for a while, but Wall Street has sell, $5, $10. Wall Street at $6 stock. Like, the stock was dead. Like, we beat them, dude. The stock now is up almost 4x from that $6 low. We've all got screenshots of buying at those lows, and we were here before them. It's one of those things where I don't know if Palantir is hated as much as Tesla on the street. I definitely don't think that's the case, but they definitely aren't liked. And Karp made that a point on the call to talk about how much they're not liked, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But eventually the street's going to have to start respecting these damn numbers, because these damn numbers are not a joke. It's just not a joke. All right, let's take a drink break. I got my Jack and Coke with me. My name is Jack and I'm drinking Coke, so that's why I have a Jack and Coke. And so everyone put in the chat what you're drinking. Put in the chat what you're drinking. Let's take a drink break, and then we'll talk about some of these numbers. Oh man. Having your name be Jack and drinking Coke, dude. Dude, how cool would that be if you go into a bar and your name is Jack and you're like, give me a Jack and Coke? And then the hot bartender is like, what's your name? And you're like, Jack. So tell me that's not like, so like, dude, I'm going to legally change my name for Jack to do that. That is cool, dude. That is like, my name is Bond. My name is Coke. Jack Coke. Like Bond, James Bond. Okay, anyway. This is what happens when Palantir hits $20. This is the jokes that happen. All right, amidst high on gains. Yep, pretty much. It's drunk off one sip. No, the sad thing is I'm not drunk. That's the sad thing. This is just, no, I promise there's nothing in this Coke. That's the sad, no one's going to believe me, but that's the sad thing, that I'm making these jokes without being drunk. Middle name Daniels. Holy crap, DP. Yeah, imagine your middle name is freaking Daniels, dude. That's great. I love it. All right, so let's talk about these. Let's talk about these earnings, and then we'll get into some of the numbers. So let me pull this up as well on the chat. I want to know what you guys thought about earnings in terms of the actual call before we get into the numbers. So I'll get into the numbers. Let me do some high level thoughts on the actual call, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so the call. I think that Alex Karp has been. I think this call for Karp was one of the best calls I've seen for Karp in a very long time. The reason for this is because Karp has been cocky and arrogant and has had a mean bravado against him for a very long time. And as a result of that, it kind of just felt like, Christian says, Kelly, bless your soul, you deal with these jokes. Dude, she loves these jokes. It's not, she doesn't have to deal with these jokes. She loves these jokes. The thing about Karp is he's been really cocky for the past 2 years, and he hasn't really put up the numbers. Now, he's put up GAAP profitability, and all of us are very thankful he put up GAAP profitability, but the street doesn't care that much about GAAP profitability. They care enough to like not tank your stock, which is why the stock tripled last year from the lows, right? If you DCA'd, you probably didn't have the best average given, just how much you had to DCA. But in general, it was a lot of talking and not enough action. And it's just like, I don't blame him for not having the action. It's a business. It takes time. The whole point of getting an investor is so that they can subsidize your ability to eventually make the business worth more. And that's just the nature of the stock market. But now Karp put up the numbers. And I think the way he talked in this call was so exciting because he's like, what are you going to say now? Right? Like he said he was inviting analysts to come to these boot camps. And he was making a joke about, oh, maybe some of you guys should try to tell the analysts to be our friends. Kind of pointing to the fact that, the Citibanks, the RBCs of the world, these people that have just absolutely stupid price targets, like these people that are so ideologically dogmatic about Palantir. It's not real AI. It's just AI consulting. I mean, this is the shit. This is real stuff. This is not me making it up. If you read their reports, for $13, $10, $5, all these price targets, it's just stupid stuff. There's plenty of bear cases for Palantir. Saying it's not real AI is just idiotic and ignorant. It is. It just is. And these people actually believe that. And then Karp said, he's like, dude, we've been doing AI for 20 freaking years. Like, yeah, we're not the best at sales, but give us some grace. Like, we're building products that are used on the battlefield in Ukraine. Like, we are, we're part of the DoD's infrastructure. Like, yeah, we suck at sales. Are you really going to get that hung up over that? You won't give us some time to figure it out? And so now it seems like they figured it out. It seems like they've seriously figured it out. And we'll talk about their boot camps numbers, but they did 600 boot camps last year. They did 90 pilots in 2022. They basically 5x'd the amount of at least introductions they had with clients. And then we can get into the pilot numbers. I think that was closer to like 400. But the fact is, they really stepped up their game in the matter of 1 year when it came from the lack of sales they had in 2022, that god-awful quarter in Q3 2022. And they became GAAP profitable. They had product innovation or sales innovation using product, which now Snowflake and all these guys are copying. Literally, they're using the word boot camps in their LinkedIn advertisements. And the analysts still are feeling a little iffy. And I think Karp on the call today was just like, if you want to give us a stupid price target, if you really don't think the company is worth, $35 billion, $40 billion, you think the company is worth $10 billion, which is what RBC says, then okay, be my guest. Because at some level, you're just going to have to drink the Kool-Aid, and you don't need to do any more convincing because the numbers are there. So the way that Karp was talking about the stock, the company, and the way the stock reacted to him talking about the company, it went up another like 2% or like 1.5, it went from 17% to I think 19% after hours after the call ended. I think the market was excited. I think the market was really excited for what Palantir is doing in the broader ecosystem. It's up 17.28% on the day, $19.61. So it's going to be up to probably $4 billion more market cap tomorrow, 40 billion. I think, gun to my head, you ask me, Amit, does it pump tomorrow? I think it pumps. I think, like, not financial advice. This is my pure speculation. I'm not selling tomorrow or anything. You guys know I'm long with Palantir. I don't really care if it gets to 20, 25. Like, this is one of those things you just wait and let it play out and sit your ass down. You can, play with all the other stocks, Robinhood, PayPal, let this one just be its own thing. So for me, it doesn't really matter, but I think it can get to 21 tomorrow. I think there's enough momentum. Like, I think it can pull a Meta where Meta was up 20% and then it goes up like another 5% the next day because this was that good of an earnings. Now, will it probably sell off? Sure, it could happen. Macro's in a unique situation, no rate cuts. So sell-off could happen tomorrow, just like sell-off could happen after it pumps to 23, 24. But I think officially, let me say this now, I think anything under 20 is a buy. I think it is. And I've been hesitant. You guys have known what I've said. I've said 15 and below is a buy because the growth wasn't there to justify harder than that. The growth is here. U.S. commercial grew 70% year over year. I mean, I think below 20 is like DCAing at 20 is not crazy. Now, is there a world where it falls to 12 and 13? Yes, but I think the S&P would have to have a massive contraction because the amount of liquidity, like it's freaking Niagara Falls in terms of the amount of people that want to buy Palantir stock. It's waiting for them in the dips, right? If it gets to 16, 17, 15, 14, and we haven't seen below 1565 in the past 3 months. So I agree with Cool Cosmic Guy. It could hit 35 by the end of 2024. If we have S&P at 5,200, we have interest rates go down 100 basis points, and we have Palantir putting up real numbers. Let's say they revise guidance and they're sandbagging. Dude, this is going to be a fun year if that stuff plays out. Now, will it play out? I don't know. That's why it's the journey. That's what makes this whole thing fun, because we don't know. And we kind of don't want to know, right? If we knew, it wouldn't be as fun. That's the whole nature of taking a risk. But I think anything under 20 is a buy. And so I do agree. I disagree with Chris, where he still thinks 12 is the buy range. I just think at some, like, that's like waiting for Amazon to get to ridiculous levels. I mean, like, yeah, the PE is expensive for Amazon, and the PE for Palantir, yes, it's getting up there. And we'll talk about their net interest income as well, because I don't think that's really that much of a bear case as interest rates fall. But I think under 20 is a buy. And could it fall massively below under 20 to 15, 16 again? Sure. But like at this point, if you just look at their free cash flow margins and the amount of free cash flow they could be doing in the next 5 years, and then you just look at the, 2,000 videos I've made on this company about how important their freaking software is, this is a company that should be able to be a Salesforce, Oracle type of market cap, which we're talking 250 to 300 billion bucks. Right now, it's at 30 billion, 40 billion. You're looking at a 9 to 10x. Over, I would say, 10 years, we're looking at 2033, 2034. A lot of things have to go right for that to happen. But I didn't think the 10x was possible with the growth we had last quarter. I just felt like until they stepped up the growth, it was going to be very hard. I'm starting to see the light with the growth allowing that 10x to really happen now, because the boot camps are real. The conversion is real. The customer testimonials are real. I mean, Sham said they got 3 clients for $20 million each, 25 million bucks. Telecommunications, biotech, some auto renter retail company. He said one of the biggest auto renting, like a Hertz, but not a Hertz. Maybe it is a Hertz. I don't know, but he did say auto renting. And then they have a bunch of other automotive deals that he talked about. Like, these are big deals. Kohl's supermarkets, that's a big deal. Okay. We're getting big deals. We're getting, as Sachin would say, big daddy deals. And if that's the case, Titan, John in the chat. Yeah. Titan's coming up, S&P 500 inclusion. Like, this could be a very good year for Palantir given these numbers. Just a very, very good deal. And, it's going to be really, really exciting. Matt says, are you really going to care about a couple bucks if the stock price is up 3x in 2 to 3 years? I agree. Like, at this point now, it seems like the trajectory for them to really grow is there. It is like, when Karp said this is our market opportunity, I think he's freaking right. And the boot camps is just, it's like, okay, so that's the market opportunity. The TAM is growing with AI. We know Palantir is the best tech. So the final missing piece of the puzzle is the sales and distribution. And it seems like these guys figured it out with boot camps. It's not perfect, and it's not, it's not like hyperscaling, but like a company that didn't know how to sell, that was selling to the government for 20 years, figured out how to sell to HCA and BP and these big ass telecommunication companies. Like, it's exciting. It's very, very exciting. So 17, 18, 19, 15, I don't really care anymore. Now under 20, it's buy DCA whenever you get some cash, leave it in there and keep it going from there. I'm thinking of this. So my Twitter income, I started an account on public.com. I'm starting like a totally separate account just for the Twitter income. So I don't lose it, because as soon as I get that income, I'm just throwing it into like an account and not paying any bills or nothing like that. That money, I just want to be in one account. So let me ask you guys a question. What do you guys think of this? Okay. I was going to take the Twitter income, because Twitter is starting to pay now, and whatever money I get, I'm blessed for whatever they give me. And I just want to dump it into a different account. So it's not in my Robinhood. So I need to totally separate right from Robinhood. I was thinking put it into the S&P 500. I was thinking, let me do the very responsible thing and officially start like a monthly DCA into the S&P 500. Now with these numbers, I'm like, dude, maybe the Twitter fund just becomes because I talk about Palantir on Twitter all day, right? So I'm basically getting paid to talk about Palantir with the Twitter ad revenue. So why doesn't that just go into Palantir? Like, why it's like, I want to be responsible here and put it into the S&P, but I'm also just like, dude, fuck the S&P. I've got 2 letters better than S&P. It's A and I, mother effer. That's what I'm talking about, dude. And so maybe we invested in Palantir instead. Maybe that'll be better. Just because I'm like maybe, and I can start a separate S&P fund. I'm not afraid to do like my Roth IRA. Probably going to start allocating a lot more to something more long term there in terms of the index. But after you do 2,000 videos on a company and you finally see the numbers make sense, like it was so gratifying today to see the numbers make sense. The numbers finally made sense, dude. Stock-based compensation is down 18% year over year. Fucking 3.7 billion in cash. How do we get another 400 million in cash? I don't know. Karp banged on a table and 400 million showed up. Adjusted free cash flow, they think could hit $1 billion next year. 70% US commercial rate, guiding for 40% on top of that. Adjusted operating income margin went from 29 to 34. Like, the numbers are finally making sense. And it's kind of just like, well, maybe we just put that money into Palantir and let it just rock. Let it just rock. So it was exciting. It was very, very exciting. Those were my high-level thoughts. Put any questions you have in the chat, any specific questions on earnings, and I'll answer them as we go through this. But I think Karp on the call knew what the hell he wanted to talk about. I think he was excited to talk about this stuff. I think he knew that, the company is getting to a different trajectory, and it's going to be a fun year for Palantir. It just seems like it's going to be a fun year. Now, could the stock sell off? Sure. But at this point, I don't really care, dude. Like, I just want to have my Palantir and just like, now that the numbers are making sense, I just want to DCA. Like, the problem with DCAing before is just that you didn't know if the numbers were going to make sense. So you were waiting for the company to prove it to you. And you didn't want to blindly trust that the numbers were going to make sense, because at some level valuations get ridiculous. But now that the numbers make sense, and maybe you have to pay a little bit of premium, that's okay, because the safety you have in your head now, like the peace of mind, because the numbers make sense. And is it still risky? Sure. But the numbers make sense, dude. And if the numbers make sense, now I think it's time to just have that fund, let it compound, and keep it going. And then we'll keep doing that. So yeah. So Kelly just texted me. Kelly, I'm sorry, I'm gonna expose you right now, but she said, "Oh my God, I love you," with a bunch of smiling face emojis, like crying laughter emojis. So someone in the chat said Kelly has to put up with these jokes. Dude, Kelly loves these jokes. She loves them. It just makes her love me more. Like, I don't know what to tell you, dude. They like the jokes. They like the jokes. Like, S&P to A&I. Come on, dude. Like, this is what we gotta. I wish I did that in front of the 5,000 people. I wish I'd said, look, if you're trying to do S&P 500, I got 2 other letters for you, A and I, Palantir. Like, that would have been a nice one in front of 5K. But instead, we get to do it in front of 428 people. Okay, so that's also really nice. That's also really nice. Let me read some super chats real quick. Dodge Lander, thank you for the $2 super chat. It means a lot. Chris says $2 super chat. Hookers or Palantir shares? I'm going to have to go with Palantir shares on that one. General Cody says $4.99. Thoughts on Karp stating in the earnings call about pulling employees from Europe to the U.S. to meet demand? Yes, let me write that down right here on my notes. We'll talk about employees in a second and the talent argument, because I thought that was a big deal. So I'll put that there, U.S. and Europe. So I'll answer that in that segment. And then General Cody also says, thank you for the $10 super chat. Thoughts on Karp stating that in the earnings call about, you sent that 2 times. Thank you for the $15. We'll answer your question. There. Thank you for that. Okay. So, all right, cool. So I'll separate this by segmentation here. So we'll do talent, because the talent stuff is amazing. I want to talk about that, and then we'll go to some other questions. So let's do some here from the chat. You buying Robinhood calls, Mitt? Yes, Alan. I have a lot of Robinhood calls. I have a lot. I bought them a while ago. I'm up on them. I bought them even though Robinhood's fell like 20% this year. I'm still up because I got them very cheap. So I'm expecting earnings to be good. And if they go good, my goal is to take out my initial capital, take some profits in my Roth on some of those Robinhood calls, and then we'll keep it moving from there. And where is that money going to go? It's going to Palantir, dude. It's going to Palantir. Robinhood to me was a phenomenal trade. I think it will still be a phenomenal trade. If I get my initial out, then a lot of that money goes back into the long-term holdings. But that on the trade wise, I think I can do really well. We'll see on February 12th, but I think I could do well. Growth Stock Wiz says, question, do you think Karp knows about you? I'm pretty sure he knows about me. I've gotten a decent amount of information just from my sources that he knows about me. And I think given what I can extrapolate from those sources, he actually really likes me and is very appreciative of what I do. I don't think they've given me the interview yet because they're still afraid to be so outwardly public with someone like me that talks about them as much as I do. And I get that from their perspective. Like, I totally understand. I do think that going the Elon route and just engaging with retail hand over fist will be very good long-term, but they're a company that deals with a lot of government sensitive data. I mean, like, it's just one of those things where you can't be the crazy CEO that's tweeting random shit about politics like Elon is, because, Lithuania might not give you a $20 million deal because of it. Like, so I get why they're hesitant. I do think one day, maybe I'll have a chance to interview him, maybe one day. But from my understanding, a lot of people in Palantir know about me, and they're really appreciative of just like the whole community, not just me. They're appreciative of the fact that we follow the company so deeply and that, we care about the company. So It'll be fun. It'll be fun to see how this all plays out. But again, I'm not doing this for Karp to know about me. I'm doing this because I have a vested interest in the company doing well, obviously financially. I have a vested interest in this community growing. And I have a vested interest in my career in financial media growing. And everyone needs a break to start their career. No matter who you are, right? Like the Dan Ives of the world are not the Dan Ives of the world if they don't get Tesla right. And he got Tesla right in 2018. The Kathy Woods don't become the Kathy Woods if they don't get Tesla right. The Ross Gerbers, although they don't want to say their career is because of Elon Musk, they don't have a career. No one gives a shit about Ross Gerber unless he gets Tesla right early. I think in stocks and investing, especially from a finance media perspective, you got to get one of those right. And you got to be really right. Same thing with startups in VC world. Like when bet on Instagram, when it's worth 10 million and then it turns into $1 billion, like you're going to be able to have access to the hottest startups in the world. So same thing here. I want to be right on Palantir because I've done so much fucking research on this company that it would behoove me to be right. It would make me really happy if I'm right. And then I just genuinely love the vibe and the ethos and the eccentricity of Karp. And all of that put together leads to a company that is probably going to be one of the most important companies in the world. Hopefully makes us all a lot of money and, allows me to continue to do what I'm doing here. So really, really exciting to see this all kind of play out. Okay, cool. So let's get into some other segments I have. Talent. Let's talk about this. This is really exciting. Okay. What Karp said on talent. What Karp basically said was that we have some of the smartest minds in the world that want to invest in Palantir. Invest, but also, join as the company. I thought this was a really important thing for him to say. It's not like we didn't know this. I mean, like I've told you guys publicly, I've talked to Palantir employees and they go through 8-10 rounds of interviews just to get, a chance to be at that company. Like that company is not easy to get into, dude. Like they're like, talk about being selective. They are more selective than Harvard and Stanford. I mean, I think I got rejected from Stanford. They have like a 4.9% acceptance rate. And I got waitlisted at Harvard, which is, I think they have like a 5% acceptance rate, 6% acceptance rate. So, it is tough to get into Palantir. Like you've got to be cream of the crop and cream of the crop. And the reason why people want to join that company is because they believe that this company is on a trajectory that's simply different than Google, Amazon, Microsoft, and Meta. Now, the funny thing is Karp saying the company's 20 years old, dude. The company's not like, they don't have the name recognition that a Google does. They definitely don't have the compensation package that a Google does. They're a 20-year-old company. They are not a company that is well known in the context of the sociological landscape around how people think of Palantir. Like when you think of Palantir, you think of big data evil. That's just what exists. We don't think of that, but like the far majority of people do. I saw an article over the weekend. Like it's just how it is right now, right? And so for people that are leaving those companies, Karp said we're stealing some of your employees to come to Palantir, means that they're smart enough to seek through the FUD. And if you're smart enough to see through the FUD, first of all, to invest in Palantir in the first place, shout out to you. But if you're smart enough to see through the FUD and then work at Palantir and potentially be set for life if that stock 10x's and you get in at even $15, God bless the employees that got in at $7, right? You're going to have a pretty fun life. And it's going to be a purposeful life outside of, optimizing advertising. So I think what he was saying about talent was just really exciting to me because basically his argument was like, well, we're going to win on the backs of innovation and on the backs of our actual tech and our product. And I want to talk about product in a second as well with AIP monetization. But if we're going to win, then we're going to need the best people in the world to help us win. And we have the best people in the world to help us win because they keep applying to the company. Like they can't stop applying to the company. And so if they're applying to the company for a reason, obviously it's because they are, excited to work at Palantir, excited to be here, excited for the mission. And it seems like that's not stopping anytime soon. So from a talent perspective, I think it's good. Now, your question, General Cody, on thoughts on Karp stating in the earnings call about pulling your employees from Europe to meet the U.S. demand. I do think that that's bullish at the end of the day. Maybe some of those European clients aren't needing as many European employees that are localized. And U.S. demand is going through the roof, right? 70% year-over-year growth. So if U.S. demand is going through the roof, then obviously you're going to need something to be able to keep up with that. And if you can't hire fast enough, then you can just use the employees you have internally to be able to get that demand. Obviously, do boot camps, all that good stuff. So in the context of the actual people that are working at Palantir, the fact that they want to work at Palantir is a big W in my opinion. is a very, very, very big thing for them. Cool. Christian says, so do we need 10,000 shares to be right? I don't even think it's about share count here. I think it's about, because I don't know. I don't know where the stock goes over the next decade. I think it's about getting to a point where you feel comfortable in your position. Like, I want to get more shares because I don't feel comfortable yet. Like, for example, my Robinhood calls, I'm very comfortable. Like, I know what it feels like now to be comfortable. My Truist calls. The Truist is a regional bank. I've done very well on that position, and I think that position is probably going to 3x as Truist hits $45, given it's an option strategy. And they don't expire till 2026. I have a long time for that to play out. I'm comfortable. I'm not looking to add more. My average is great. I'm there. I'm Gucci. Palantir is one of those things where I'm like, well, if, Truist, I'm going to sell out of, probably within the next 12 months. Robinhood, probably within the next 12 months. Yeah, but Palantir is not one of those things I'm going to sell out of within the next 12 months. It's one of those things you want to follow this company for a very long time, and I think early Tesla investors felt the same. It's like, we want to be part of this story for a while. Now, maybe now they're getting damn tired of the story as Elon's tweeting about politics all day and not doing anything to get the share price up, right? Maybe they're really tired of the story, but the story on Palantir has not gotten tiring yet. The story on Palantir has gotten, the story on Palantir is just getting more exciting than ever, And so I think that's why I want to buy more shares, because the story's not done. And if you're going to be holding it for a long time, let that story end up playing out. Now, let's talk about why the story's not done. Let's get into the numbers. Let's get into the nitty gritty of it, because this is the first time the numbers finally are making sense, guys. This is the first time the numbers are making sense. And the numbers making sense matter so much, because 2 years ago, I would have said, okay, Palantir to the moon. They brought in, 1.3 billion in revenue, yada, yada, yada. I was much more inexperienced as an investor. I think things have changed. And now I deeply care about valuation. I deeply care about numbers. I deeply care about growth projections. It's not to say that's the only thing I look at, but it's stuff I can't ignore, just given how I've evolved as an investor. And so now that for a company that you are excited about for the numbers to make sense, that doesn't say the numbers are perfect. It just means that they finally are starting to make sense. It's just like, this is the time. This is the time to really get excited, because everything's there. All right, let me take it one sip. Let's take a drink sip, and then we'll get into the numbers. Okay, cool. So, let's do the highlights. We'll get into these numbers as we go through the actual slides. So, 465 organizations participated in boot camps. Couple quotes. We're very excited about the future because truly our use cases are endless. This is the work that will change the care of our patients forever. This is not shit that people are saying for Snowflake, dude. I'm sorry. No one's fucking saying that for Snowflake. Like, what we immediately saw in terms of productivity and accuracy, I've just never seen something like that before. I don't know, dude. I just like, these are certain quotes that you don't see Snowflake advertise, because it's not that easy. I know they have 8,000 clients or whatever, but this is impactful stuff. And we're seeing it in the context of Palantir. Here's one thing we haven't talked about at all. Introducing Mission Manager infrastructure for Big Tent software integration, enabling an ecosystem of commercial and government providers to deliver software at the speed of mission. I don't really know what the hell this is. Okay. I've got to look deep into it. I've been running around for the past couple hours. I have no idea what this Mission Manager thing is. But the fact that Palantir is introducing a new offering, it's not as big as AIP, but it's a new offering. It seems really tailored towards the government space, probably some level of some type of addition on top of FedStart. It means the company knows how to freaking innovate, dude. They're just releasing and shipping products and getting shit done. And so I will research a lot of this over the next coming weeks, but I don't know really what it is yet. It just seems like a new product they're going to introduce to the government. It's going to be really exciting. So here's some stuff. We're not going to read through it yet, but it seems like they're targeting the government space with that. FedStart's going well. FedStart's going very, very well. Shyam Sankar basically talked about the fact that their clients are working with them. Apollo is being deployed in a meaningful way. And then Karp talked about the fact that these companies aren't combative with them anymore. They want to work with them. They want to actually help them be better, and they want to have a symbiotic relationship essentially with Palantir. So the IT infrastructure companies, the software companies that were trying to break into the government space, now they're seeing Palantir as a platform they can use, not a platform to be afraid of. And that just means more money to the bottom line of Palantir, especially if the government wants to have more multi-vendor approaches. Okay, well, if Palantir is playing a role in those multi-vendor approaches, then that's going to be beneficial for Palantir writ large, over the long term as the government business grows as well. Okay, so U.S. commercial, dude. These are the numbers that it got people texting me today as soon as the numbers came out saying I'm buying back in. People that sold out a long time ago, they're like, I'm back. And the reason they're back is because of these numbers right here. 70% year-over-year commercial growth, 12% quarter-over-quarter. That's not easy to do quarter-over-quarter, especially off a big base. So that's amazing. 55% year-over-year customer count growth, 22% quarter-over-quarter. Like, again, quarter-over-quarter means within 90 days, they grew something 22%. Like, that's not easy. Year-over-year, all right, you have 365 days. Quarter-over-quarter, it's just not easy to do, and they're doing it. 32% year-over-year U.S. commercial remaining deal value. That's up 28% quarter-over-quarter. 130 U.S. commercial deals closed. And they only added, I think, like 45 net new customers. So that means these deals are, if these deals are for quarter, these deals are existing customers as well. Because obviously if they had 130 new customers, they would have 130 new deals. But the fact that they only have like 45 new customers means net new customers means that these deals happen outside of just their, net new clients that joined, which is also very, very exciting for Palantir. 13x in their 3-year U.S. commercial customer count growth, 343 million U.S. commercial TCV, and 107% year over year. That is up on a dollar weighted basis. GAAP profitability again, 93 million. I think 30 million was because of interest income. Let me talk here about interest income. NDR was 108%. NDR was 108. It was 107 last quarter, so it's not up a lot, but it's still up a decent amount. I mean, it's up 1%. That's not a decent amount, but it's going up, which is what we needed to see, right? And I think the reason it's not up dramatically is because they haven't fully monetized AIP. Once they they closed 130 deals. A lot of those were the existing customers. Once they actually turn the spigot on when it comes to monetization, then we'll see NDR go up. So to me, NDR going up only 1% was not a big deal. Okay, so so some people have made a bear case that, okay, what happens when interest rates come down and Palantir is not able to generate as much net interest income on their cash, which is now at 3.7 billion. We're almost at 4 billion in cash. What are they going to do with all that cash? How are they going to make a return on it? I think it's very simple. I think the argument's actually really easy. When interest rates come down and Palantir can't collect 5.5% in short-term treasuries on 3.7 billion, which they will be able to do for the next quarter, guys, because what's his name? Jerome's Powell is not lowering rates until probably June. So this quarter is going to end by March, right? March 30th. Yeah. So like we should be collecting 5.5% in Q1 easily. So that shouldn't be that big of an issue. But when that happens, there's two arguments. They're going to use that money to further grow. So for example, if you were putting 3.7 billion into short-term treasuries and collecting that interest income, and now you're not getting 5.5%, what if you take some of that money and invest it into more boot camps? Right? What if you actually take your cash pile, not your operating cash flow, but your free cash flow to pay for the boot camps, which would be like a sales and marketing expense. But what if you take your cash and just dump it into more boot camps? What if you take your cash and you hire more employees that can help you build out a new product offering? What if when rates come down, the business economic environment is more likely to procure software because now the cost of capital has gone down so that you're able to make more deals? What if the stock naturally just goes higher because investors want to take a risk on innovative AI companies and they're willing to give them a premium because rates aren't as high? Like, I don't think rates coming down is bad for GAAP net income. Palantir is not going back to losing money. That's not happening, right? And so if they're not going back to losing money, they're going to be forced to profitably grow. And that's the very exciting thing about Palantir. If they're forced to not just grow, but grow profitably, it's going to be pretty exciting to see what happens for Palantir. Okay, so commercial revenue growth up 32%. Absolutely phenomenal. 215 million to 284 million. U.S. commercial revenue 70%, 77 million to 131 million. Look, these are real numbers. These aren't fake numbers anymore. These aren't joking numbers. It was very tough August whatever 2022 when I had to look at these numbers being at like 10% or 15%. Like, it was not fun, right? But these numbers have changed because the business has changed, because the entire approach to marketing and go-to-market, like everything's changed, dude. So, you had YouTubers selling out their entire positions at $8 or $9 when Karp was banging on the desk. I think those YouTubers lacked a lot of vision to see beyond just the numbers. Sometimes the numbers suck. It's okay. It's a business. Like, if you have a pizza store, Sometimes it's going to rain. People are not going to come in to buy some pizza because it's raining. They don't feel like it's okay. Sometimes numbers aren't the best. But to sell out of your entire position at $8 or $9 because someone banged on the table when he got annoyed at a stupid analyst asking a question when the numbers already weren't the best, I don't know, dude. That's like you gotta weather through the storm, literally and figuratively. Like you gotta get through this shit. And so now these numbers are phenomenally better because we gave Palantir the time to make it better, and because AI became a thing and Palantir hopped on that opportunity. One thing on AI, a lot of people are like, oh, Palantir wouldn't be here where it is right now because until ChatGPT came out. So, if it wasn't for AI and ChatGPT, then Palantir would be kind of, they would just be a dead company. My response to that is like, okay, and like, I think of that in a totally different perspective. I think of that as in mother effer, they innovated on a market opportunity that is so damn real. Nvidia, $700, right? It's pretty damn real, and they've got the numbers to definitely justify their price to earnings. That's still cheap. That within 2 months of ChatGPT going mainstream, March ChatGPT went really mainstream. 2023, it got 100 million users by April. End of April, Palantir had AIP. June, they had AIPCon. September, they had AIPCon 2. What company does that shit, dude? Like, what company? Like, someone tell me what company takes a narrative and turns it into an operational product and then hosts 2 freaking conferences on the product and then puts up 70% US commercial revenue growth because their product is growing that much in the country that's going to buy the most amount of software, which is the United States. There's no other company, dude. You're not going to find the company. You're not going to find the ticker. It's not happening. Like this right here is the reason to pay the premium. This right here is, if it sells off, is the reason to buy the dip, in my opinion. You just don't see that level of innovation. And Snowflake had to acquire 4 companies last year. They had to spend probably close to $1 billion. One of those companies was 150 million, right? So maybe let's round it up to 500-600 million. They had to spend hundreds of millions of dollars of cash buying a company and then trying to organize that company into their, ecosystem. Like, no, dude, it's not happening there. It's just not. It's happening with and Snowflake's at $70 billion valuation right now. Like this is stupid. Like which one are you really paying for? What are you paying for, value, or are you paying for 53% of revenue being spent on sales and marketing? And then SBC going up. It's like, that's what you're getting with Snowflake versus Palantir. So again, Snowflake's not a bad company. I think the stock's probably going to do well. It's just in the context of real value when it comes to SaaS businesses, it's not a question to me which one is the right one to bet on. S&P 500. We will get an announcement for that probably in June. Like, it's going to take a while. So for those that are hoping on S&P, but that's a bullish thing to me because the stocks, the business is doing well. Forget the stock. And we don't even have this catalyst. What happens when, hundreds of thousands of investors are going to have to invest in this shit? Well, stock might go a little higher. And so all of this depends on variables of when this occurs. But they talked about it on the call today. They said, look, we're going to be GAAP profitable. We're going to be eligible for the S&P 500. Whenever the committee decides they want to let us in, they're going to let us in. And then I don't think there's companies ever going to leave, because then they're really going to have the capital and flexibility to continue to innovate. And the growth numbers are probably going to allow them to do that as well. All right, government revenue growth up 11% year over year. U.S. government up 6%. So these were probably the most disappointing numbers. U.S. government is not growing as much as it needs to. Government revenue overall is not growing as much as it needs to. I think this is where we have to give Palantir some grace. They actually were very strategic in their earnings call. They were talking a lot about how the U.S. government strategically, puts out deals and like the way the military budget, like they said a ton of stuff in the beginning, like the first 15 minutes. And the reason they said this is because they knew these numbers sucked, which they do. At the end of the day, these numbers suck. But U.S. commercial is so good, which is kind of what I said for the past week. I said, if U.S. commercial is good enough to subsidize shitty government growth, then we should be able to give Palantir 3 quarters to fix some of the government stuff, which is when the election year will be over, right? We'll have more stability. We'll see what the new administration is like, or maybe the same administration. I don't know. But U.S. government growth and larger geopolitical, international government growth is going to be better. Karp did talk about the fact that some of these countries in Europe have basically said no to Palantir. They've basically said, we're not going to accept your vigor, your talent, your operating systems, Gotham, etc. And the answer he gave there was basically like, they're going to be crying and running back to us eventually. We just don't know when. And I actually really appreciated the honesty there from Karp, right? Because Karp was basically like, look, he was being really honest. He was just saying it's really hard to get some of these European countries that, quite frankly, don't understand the problems that are going on geopolitically. They think they understand, but they really don't. And as a result of that, they don't even know that they need this offer, but they will. And so his argument is international government revenue growth will eventually get there. He even harped on the fact that, he said, some people may think this is peacetime. He said verbatim, I disagree. We are in one of the most geopolitically unstable times in the world. And what he also said is that as a country's GDP goes down, i.e. China, shit gets worse, not better. Right? You may think, oh, China needs to reevaluate themselves and this and that, and they're going to start, allowing free market enterprises and not be a communist dictator. Like, no, dude, when people can't eat and shit is bad and you've got people revolting, that's when they say, let's invade Taiwan. Now, maybe that happens, maybe that doesn't, but that's Karp's prediction. And Karp's argument is, if that does happen, which you got to give him some credit, because the dude called the Ukraine invasion on an interview with Kevin Warsh at Stanford University in January 2022, literally 3 weeks before it happened. I mean, he might as well have just said Ukraine and Russia the way he was talking in the interview. It was literally prophetic to an extent. So I think we got to give him some credit here on the fact that the world is becoming more unstable and that government revenues are going to go up as a result of that. And again, it's not saying that you want the world to be more unstable. It's just saying that that's probably what's going to happen. And if that's going to happen, you need a software like Palantir. And that software probably is going to play a major role. All right, let me take one sip of this and then we'll be back. Okay, cool. All right. Total revenue growth, 20%. So they brought in 20% year over year, 9% quarter over quarter. If they continue that 9% quarter over quarter, looking at 36% year over year growth. That's probably not going to happen. Probably not going to be 9% quarter over quarter. But just imagine if it does, dude. Imagine by Q3, AIP is fucking exploding. The Titan business is exploding. Canada wants to test Palantir because the NHS is reducing millions of minutes of hours and backlogs and waiting times. Like, these are the things that it's not just hopium. It's legitimate possibilities based on the evidence that we have. Now, will it happen? No one knows. We don't have a crystal ball. But the fact that it could happen leads you to think that 9% quarter over quarter revenue growth is very possible. And if that's the case, you're looking at 36%. Even if it's 7%, you're looking at 35 or 28%. So they're guiding for 20% year over year. I think they're sandbagging it a little bit like they always do. But eventually, that number will, I think, tend higher. And if it does, off of the variety of catalysts that exist, then I think Palantir will do well. Okay. The average TTM revenue per top 20 customers, 11% increased. 49 million to 55 million. I mean, you didn't think this could go higher, and this went higher. So the average trailing 12-month revenue they get from their top 20 customers, that's increasing because the clients are paying them more money because it's more valuable to use Palantir shit. I mean, that is just incredible to make $6 million more per client. Billings, this was really nice to see. Last year, they had 387 million in billings. This year, they have 605 million. So these are $605 million they've already issued in terms of money they're eventually going to collect. This is different from RPO, which is the revenue remaining performance obligations. Billings is a bit different. Billings is just like how much you're literally billing your customers in terms of money that you can achieve. So there's a slight difference there, but the fact that that's a 56%. And when we get the 10K, we'll see the RPO. RPO is probably going to be close to like $1 billion, something close to like that. That's really exciting. That's really exciting as well, seeing that number go up. Adjusted gross margin. I don't know how the hell this went from 82 to 84, but this thing went from 82 to 84. Look at it. It was stuck at 82 to 81 for the past year, and they bumped it up 2% to 84. This is the only slide when everyone says it's a consulting firm. We need to have our... Hey, guys, when did we do that debate? We had the debate with Edwin in June of 2020 or 2023, and he said a year later he would come on the channel. I need to reach out to him because I would love to know his perspective on the AI imposter, the AI SPAC fraud consulting firm that's misleading investors as per his Substack. I'm just curious what he has to say, because I don't know any consulting firms that are AI imposters putting up 84% gross margins. I just don't see it happening. So That's another thing where it's just like, all right, buddy, the numbers are making sense. That if the numbers make sense, we're going to win. And the numbers are finally starting to make sense. Now, here was the biggest thing. I said guidance was going to be the biggest thing. I did not expect this number to increase the way it did. Q4 2023 adjusted operating income was $209 million, representing a margin of 34%. I don't know what they did to get this up about 5%, but they got it up 5%. And it was at 29% last quarter. Look at this. A year ago, about a year and a half ago, it was at 17%. They spiked that bad boy up 17%. They doubled it. I mean, Karp's not from Ireland, but they're doubling their adjusted operating income margin at 34% year over year. So, I mean, this is just incredible. And the reason why this is so important is because this is the literal cash every quarter they get to save, right? With those adjusted operating income margins. Like not literally on the bottom line, but you know what I mean? Like this is the money that they get to recognize as legitimate income, even if it's adjusted. So that margin getting closer to 35 to 36% over the next, I would say 10 years, dude, we're going to fucking win. Like I did a DCF model a while ago with one of my friends, Sebastian. You guys probably watched that video. On his Super Bowl case, he had a 35% adjusted operating margin until 2033. Now, his growth rates were a little higher than 20%, right? He was catering more at that 30%. But in his model, there's a stock that gets to $400 if you do that. Now, top line growth has to be there. Top line growth is not there. It's still 20%. But one of the things that has to be there, like if we wanted to take his model and make it a really bull model, one of the things that has to be there is adjusted operating income margins of 35% and above. It's at 34%. So like his magic model that gets us a super bull case or even a reasonable bull case is like 250 if you decrease the growth rates a little bit versus $400. Adjusted operating income margins has to get to 35 to 40%. If we get there, and there's no reason we can't, we're a software business. We're not a consulting firm. If we get there, and we increase top line growth, we're going to make some money, dude. Like this business is going to compound. It's like at some point the numbers make sense, right? And these numbers are making a lot of sense. U.S. commercial customer count up 55% year over year. They're adding customers, dude. Last year they had 143 in the U.S. This year they have 221. The U.S. is willing to spend on software. They're willing to buy. And so if the U.S. is willing to buy and the U.S. is willing to spend, then you would imagine that in the United States, commercial customer count is going to go up. And that's what's happening right now. Customer count in general, up 35%. Oh, okay. I finally got the number, dude. I haven't seen this number all day. This is the one thing I haven't seen. Okay, so it's 497. Wow. 3 customers away from 500, half of 1,000. Wow. That is so awesome to see, dude. That is so awesome to see right now. So we had 367 last year. We're at 497, dude. The amount of work these guys must have done to close those deals. Just got to tip your hat off, man. That company's been busting their ass trying to get that done. And they got it done this quarter. 44% year-over-year commercial customer count. So they went from 260 to 375. It's more than government for a reason, right? Commercial customers are willing to adopt AIP. They're willing to buy Foundry. They're willing to do this. And that's why that commercial customer count is going up. That's why we're seeing it go higher. John Rodden says, that's funny. I was just in Dublin. I'm happy you enjoy. I want to go to Dublin now, dude. I made so many fucking jokes with Dublin. I need to actually go there and go to a pub in Dublin and get drunk in Dublin. That's got to be on the bucket list. Okay, Q4 2023, 103 deals, dude. $1 million each. 37 of 5 million, 21 of 10 million, and we heard from Sham 3 of 25 million. Those are big deals, man. Those are big deals. I would imagine AIP, the Cole supermarket is in this 21 range. And then the 37 that are of 5 million, those are smaller companies that are probably doing some pilots. Guess what? They're going to pay more than 5 million if this shit works over the next 5 years. They're going to be paying they're going to be paying 20, 30 when this shit really works and it gives them value. So, this was big. This was a big thing as well. Last quarter, they did 89 deals. This quarter, they did 103. Imagine next quarter that gets to 140, 115, 120. I mean, when you're getting 100 deals a quarter, that's 400 a year on average. The numbers are going to start to make a lot of sense. They ended with $3.7 billion in cash. So they now have a 50% margin on their adjusted free cash flow, which is amazing. They are trading at a lower price to free cash flow than Amazon and Coca-Cola and a couple of other big tech companies. So price to free cash flow really is one of the metrics on Wall Street you can't manipulate, right? It's literally the cash that the company is generating in the business. So that is also phenomenal. There's a 50% margin, and they dumped all of that into their cash pile. So now they have $3.7 billion in cash. I mean, it's hard for this company to go bankrupt. It's hard for this company to lose given the government sector of the business. And worst case scenario, they have almost $4 billion in cash. Like, it's just one of those things, and no debt. It's one of those things where their balance sheet is just healthy. The thing about Palantir has always been their balance sheet looks great, but the growth sucks. You can't say that anymore about the growth. So as long as the balance sheet continues to look great and the growth continues to get higher, I mean, shit, dude, it's gonna eventually play out. It's really gonna play out, I think, as long as that top line growth doesn't slow down. So next quarter, they expect about $616 million. They always come on the high side. One thing about Palantir is they never come in on the low side of expectations. So we can assume $616 million, which let's just do some math quarter over quarter. I think that's like 1% growth. That is, 1.3% quarter over quarter. So quarter over quarter, nothing too crazy. But think about this, dude. The company's going to bring in over $500 million of revenue in the next 90 days. Like I don't think people these numbers are not a joke. $616 million in 90 days. Let's divide that by 19. Siri, what's $616 million divided by 90? That's $6.8 million a day, dude. $6.84 million a day. This company is generating a revenue. This is not C3 AI. Like, that C3 AI will barely do that for the full year of revenue. Like, and they want to say they're the AI leaders. It's like, no, dude, this is a different ball game. This is a whole different game. Revenue of between 2.652 and 2.68. That basically means 2.68. Again, Palantir always comes in on the high side. Even if they slightly beat by $1 million, like Q2, they estimated 528 to 532 million. They beat by 1 million. They brought in 533 million. They always beat on the high side, even if it's slightly. So I'm imagining they're going to do 2.668 billion, which is 20% year over year growth. The numbers are making sense. Correct. The numbers are making sense and sense. So that's what's happening. And so that's what we're seeing with Palantir. They're going to try to do 850 million adjusted income from operations, cash flow of $1 billion, 640 million in US commercial, representing 40% year over year growth. The numbers make sense. They make a lot of sense. Stock-based compensation also came down 18% year over year. So look at this. Total stock-based comp last year, it was 564 million. This year, 475 million. It's down 18%. So it's slightly increased in Q4 from 114 to 132 million, but they're not diluting the crap out of us anymore. There's still some dilution, but it's not insane. In fact, it's heading down in terms of like overall trajectory of stock-based comp. And again, why are you doing stock-based comp? Because you're trying to get the most important people in the world to work at your company, and they want to work at your company. So they'll take a little bit of a haircut on the stock-based comp to work at Palantir. And that's what we got on the numbers. The numbers were the numbers, and it was a pretty damn good earnings in my perspective from those numbers. It's not bad, man. It's not bad at all. I think that we're just getting to the point where this is making sense. And if this is going to keep making sense, then it just seems like it's hard to deny what's going on with Palantir. It really does. It seems like it's harder. What about buybacks? They didn't do any buybacks. I think they're not going to do any buybacks until they have full stability. Really, I don't want them to do buybacks till they get into the S&P 500. That's my personal thoughts. But they're not doing any buybacks anytime soon. The stock, again, is still volatile. Like, we don't know what the floor is yet to the stock. I think the floor is definitively become 16 to 17, but we don't know. S&P pulls back 5%. It could be a doozy for Palantir. So they're not going to do buybacks for a while, in my opinion. I also think they have much better uses with that cash, dude. They can do way better stuff with that cash. They don't need to be spending it on their own stock yet. They have plenty of liquidity for shareholders. Let them actually like get some interest income or innovate with that cash. So I think buy back the stock after the S&P 500, and then we'll get a much better sense for where the floor of the company can be. Nvidia's up 500% in the past 15 months. Do you think Palantir can do this? That would mean Palantir goes from what price? We're at 20 right now, so up 500x. That's a 5x. That means we're up $100 in 15 months. The reason I'm skeptical about this is because Nvidia is the GPU center for the universe, right? And so that's why we're seeing the price action we're seeing on Nvidia right now. Palantir, on a green day, it's fun to assume stuff, but you also can't get delusional here. Palantir is benefiting from AI. They're not literally AI. Nvidia is literally AI. Nvidia is $700 after hours. So I don't estimate they go 500% in 15 months. I think Nvidia is a little bit of bubble territory, and we could see a little bit of a correction here. I would be very scared to buy Nvidia right now, even though you could argue it's cheap for the growth. I get it, but it is one of those things you have to be concerned about. I don't think Palantir is in a bubble. I think Palantir is going to slowly grow over time. The stock price will reflect that, just like Karp said a couple of weeks ago, and shareholders will do well even if they don't have Nvidia type returns in the next 12 months, in the next 15 months. Or that would be $120. 6x is 500%. Okay, so that would be $120. Yeah, I don't think we're going from 20 to 120 yet. Now, if we go from $20 to $120, folks, that would be fun. But right now, if we can get back to 30% year-over-year growth, that would be awesome. Do you think over the next 5 years, Palantir overtakes Snowflake or Databricks? Yes, I do not think over the next 5 years this is a conversation. I think they're all going to be big companies. All of them. But Snowflake is not going to have the interest of the investing population that Palantir does. Neither will Databricks. Like, look, I've got some bricks right here. Okay. And I feel like I'm giving a lot of data on these live streams. Data bricks are not that exciting. What's exciting is an all-seeing crystal ball, which is Palantir. So, I mean, look, Databricks' last valuation was $43 billion. Palantir is barely at $40 billion, and Palantir's, Palantir's a public company. They're GAAP profitable. Like, I don't know if Databricks IPOs at that level. And I think if they IPO at 60 or 70 billion, we're going to be in a bit of a bubble for Databricks to be IPOing at that level. I mean, to invest in a $70 billion company as it goes public on a SaaS basis, even if they're growing at 40, 50% year over year, when you're investing in SaaS, you're investing in the future of software. That's how my philosophy revolves around SaaS. I'm not just investing in compounded growth. I'm investing in the future of software, and I'm not investing in something at $70 billion where the alpha for me to even double, it has to go to $140 billion if I don't think it's the future of software. So we're going to need to see. We're going to need to see if, the future of software ends up being one of those companies or not. Isn't Palantir and Microsoft the only high two tech companies to have a high government security clearance? Yes, and Amazon. Amazon, Microsoft, and Palantir are at IL level 6. Snowflake's ramping up. They're at IL level 5. They'll probably eventually get to IL 6, maybe. But Palantir is the only one with those two companies in the room. Amazon also, yes, Amazon also. Now, what's interesting here is like the Tesla situation is very interesting right now because Tesla is having a little bit of a fall from grace. And it's actually really, I was talking to one of my friends today. He's a very heavy investor in Tesla. He's got a lot of Tesla stock. He's got a lot of Palantir stock. And his argument, this was what he said to me. And again, this guy, when he has a decent amount of these shares, right? His argument was he doesn't get what the hell Elon's doing. Tweeting about immigrants and then saying you're going to leave Tesla if you don't get 25% voting share and this and that. And look, I defend Elon, I think, a lot. If you're part of my market open stream community, I defend Elon every day. I defended him against the stupid Wall Street Journal hit piece that comes out. Like, I am a stan of Elon. But you got to start asking yourself, well, the stock's down from $1 trillion to 580 billion or whatever. At what point, if we have a pullback in the market, which usually happens at one point in the year, right? It doesn't just go up forever. Maybe it does, whatever. Tesla at 170, when we have that 5% broad-based pullback, that is tough for Tesla when it comes down. Right now, the street's valuing it as an automotive business, not as the future of technology. And I think Elon, being as vocal as he is, which, look, I mean, does he deserve to be vocal? Yes, free speech, all that stuff. I get it. But at some point, shareholders are not going to keep putting up with this shit, dude. Like they're not just gonna, like, the street's not gonna be okay with this. So I think we're seeing a little bit of a fall from grace from a company that was valued as a high tech company that's now being valued as an automotive business. And 580 billion is still much more than an automotive business. But right now, and this is the guy I was talking to that, again, has a lot of these shares. He was telling me, dude, it's an automotive business. That's all it is right now. That's all it fucking is. And when you look at Palantir, and I'm looking at my 10x, my 5x, I'm like, all right, Palantir has to go from 30 to 150 billion. There's my 5x. Tesla has to go from 500 billion to 2.5 trillion. What's easier, dude? Like what's easier? It just doesn't seem like it's Tesla. Not with Elon yapping the way he's yapping. Not with, interest rates being high and being very hard to finance cars. Now, is there a long-term trajectory for Tesla? Yeah, yes. All that's, I get it. But I don't know. It seems like we're seeing a little bit of discontinuation in the markets here. So it's not to say that Tesla's in a bad situation or anything like that. It's just to say that you've got a company like Palantir that's getting their shit together. You've got a CEO that's crazy, but's not tweeting about random things around what's happening at the border, and that doesn't have the debt of Twitter as an overhang. It makes the Tesla story and Elon's life more interesting to analyze, but it definitely makes it more rocky for shareholders. So I think this is a great DCA year for Tesla, because I think Tesla will, probably struggle this year if things don't get better. But for Palantir, this seems like a year where they're going to get their shit together and hopefully get to the next stage of growth. I'm at 3,000 shares on Palantir, for those that are asking. 3,000 shares. My goal is to get to 5,000. And my average is 15, so I want to get to 5,000. Probably going to raise my average. I don't care anymore. We'll get the average up. It's okay. Because at this point, I think if the stock can get to $100, does it really matter if it's 15 or 20? Like, no, it doesn't fucking matter, dude. It really doesn't. So, could it get to 150, $200? Will it really matter? No. And so I just want to hold this. I just want to hold this stock for a while. I mean, for a really long time. And I want to be right on this company. And to be right, you got to hold for a long time. So let's do it. We have PayPal earnings coming up. I would be very happy for PayPal to pump and I could get the hell out of PayPal and put some more into Palantir, right? Like now I'm just thinking like, all right, let's see what I can liquidate, because risk reward, PayPal is probably way better than Palantir on a risk reward basis. The problem is it's just not as fun as Palantir. And so I think from an options perspective, which is what I have on PayPal, there's a lot of upside there. Like there's a lot of upside if PayPal just gets their shit together. But from a risk reward, if we're going long stock, it's Palantir. Now, granted, Palantir gets to $25, and I don't think it's the best time to initiate a position at $25. I don't think so. $25 is a $50 billion market cap. We're going to be doing $2.6 billion in revenue. $25 is where, 20% year-over-year growth for those. We would be trading at like 20 times price of sales. The numbers don't make that much sense when you get to $25, $20, $30. But as these earnings continue throughout the year, and Palantir increases their growth rate and their guidance and their adjusted operating margins and that free cash flow, then 25, 30 starts to make a lot of sense. So if the stock spikes to 25 tomorrow, I personally would not buy. I would let it play out, just let it relax, because things tend to sell off a little bit. We've seen this with SoFi. We saw this with a lot of other stocks, right? The market tends to sell things off. But if we get back to 17, 18, which now it's going to be funny. It's going to be really, really funny with Palantir. It's going to be really funny how the market prices them, because 17 and 18 to me is cheap now. And I'm saying this as a guy that said 17, 18 was not cheap, for the past year. So, and technically I was right? The stock's only $19. So 17, 18 is not cheap. If you bought it at 17, you're up $2. Like that's not alpha, that's like, all right, you're in the green, but you're not up, right? You're not making a substantial ROI. So I think I was right that the stock was not cheap at 17, 18. Now, if the stock goes to 30, yeah, the stock was cheap. Is the stock going to 30 anytime soon? I don't know. I don't know. I would say no. I would be less delusional there. And I would say, no, that's probably not going to happen. The valuation's not going to make sense if the stock goes to 30 that quickly. Could retail pump it to 30? Could the enthusiasm get it to 30? Yeah, that could happen. That could absolutely happen. But is that realistic for that to sustain itself? Probably not. So I think 17, 18, 19 is now cheap. But the question becomes, what does the street think? Does the street think it's cheap? And they bring us back to this purgatory limbo we've been stuck at from 16 to 20 for the past 7 months? Or does the street say, you know what? We're in the roaring 20s and 20 is the new 6. And the stock kind of consolidates at a floor of $20. We'll see. We'll see. But I think that's what we could see happening in the future as well. And so it'll be really interesting to see how the street price of this. General Cody, thank you again for the $10 super chat. It means the absolute world to me. You do not have to send the money, dude. Like it just means a lot. So thank you for this super chat. You are by far one of my favorite finance YouTubers. I appreciate your transparency and honesty, a man of the people, legend. Thank you for being here, man. It means a lot to me. This whole experience has been kind of surreal. I really am trying to go for the long term on YouTube. I'm not trying to do selling a course and charging, $350 or $500 or $1,000 for some stupid information you could find online. I'm really trying to play the long term. I do have a product I'm working on that I think a lot of you Palantir investors will love. And it's going to cost like, $5 a month or something like that, but it's not going to come out till it's really ready. It has to do with AI. I think it's going to be fun. And it's stuff like that I'm working on, but it's stuff that's cheap, that's valuable, and that you can actually gain something from being part of the community versus paying $5 a month to a Patreon or, paying $7 a month for a Substack or something like that. Like, I just want to offer you guys real value. And in order to get you guys real value, we've got to be long-term on the channel. So when you send the super chats, it really means a lot to me because I'm not going for monetization here. I'm going for long-term growth. I'm really playing the Palantir model. Go for growth. Go for value. Make sure the audience loves you so much that in 3 years, they still want to watch you. Don't go for short term. Give me the $50 super chat so I can read your comment out loud. And I need the $50 super chats. Like, no, this is a much bigger game we're playing, dude. This is so much of a bigger game. I am so fucking blessed that on a February 5th on a Monday, there's 412 people that are actually curious about my thoughts. I heard Patrick Bet-David. He's a big entrepreneur. He has 4 million subscribers on YouTube. He was talking about this on Meet Kevin's podcast the other day. Now he's a media mogul. He was saying there was no way in hell he expected 20 years ago people would actually give a shit about his opinion. And now the dude's pulling in like 100 to 200 million views a month on him talking about whatever the hell he wants to talk about. Because he went for value versus monetization. He made his money elsewhere, right? He didn't need to monetize his audience with stupid, courses and stuff like that. So that's what we're going for. And I just really appreciate if anyone, shows any support because that's the goal. We're going for the long-term game here. Mr. Green, thank you for the $20 super chat. Palantir share on me, homie. I love y'all and congrats to us. 1,100 shares and holding. Absolutely incredible. Put in the chat, what's your average? What's your average on Palantir? Let's see what averages we have here. Let's see what we got. What averages do we have? I'm very, very curious what we're at. I know growth stock is at 795. Such a sexy average. It's so good. But I want to see what people are working with. I'm at 15. I know some people are 12. Some people are at 10. Some people are at 17. We got 1326, 1589, 15, 1458, $13, $12, $17, 869. Oh my God. That's so beautiful, dude. That's one of the best 69s I've seen in a while. 8.5, 17.25, 12. Oh, wow, Davis. I don't know your average was 12. That's awesome. Shout out to Davis. He's our Palantir rapper in the community. He's going to drop some heavy bars once Palantir gets to $100. He was sharing his raps with me. 11.40, 15.21. Wow, 4,000 shares at 962. So let's do some math on that. Well, that just means you're up double because basically, right, a little bit more than double. So 4,000 times 962, you paid Sonny 38,000 for those shares. Those shares are currently worth, let's just multiply by 20, 80 grand. Yeah. So you were up a nice double. 26,000 average shares, average at 14, 1450, 1470, 7, 8. Damn, you guys have some amazing averages here. Incredible averages, dude. This is great margin of safety. Even if you want a DCA higher, DCA up versus down, you've got really good margins of safety here. 850 shares at 790. Rather have a higher average with more shares than lower average with less shares. I agree. I'd rather make 10% on 100,000 than make 200% on $500, right? It looks cooler on your Robinhood when it says you're up 200% versus 10%.
but I'd rather be up 10 grand than, you know, 800 grand or $800. So that's, I think share count is more important here as well. Sonny has 3,000 shares and is Roth tax free. That's amazing. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's been fun, man. It's been fun. This whole journey has been super, super fun. This whole journey has been cool. I think this whole journey has been very humbling. Just, you know, I mean, you know, when the stock was at $6, you know, it was so funny. I tell this story all the time, but Palantir did a partnership with Microsoft for the Foundry like store. I don't even know if the Foundry store is a thing anymore, but it was like some integration with Microsoft, like an ontology store or something like that. And the stock was at $7 and the news came out. That was the one day that week I couldn't make a Palantir video. I just got so busy. I was like, all right, I'll make this video in like 2 days because I'm just so busy because I still had my job at the time and all that stuff. And 2 days go by and I'm like, all right, I want to see what some other people said on this. So I Google, you know, Palantir, Microsoft, YouTube, and no one made a fucking video. And that's when it really hit me, dude. That day is the day it hit me. I was like, oh shit. Like, when the stock's in the gutter, people are just like forget people not wanting to make the video. They don't have the energy to talk and analyze about what's going on with Palantir when the stock's in the gutter, because the stock's in the gutter. Like no one wants to talk about it, right? And so I made the video, and the video actually did well. I remember that video got 12,000 views because it was a Palantir Microsoft partnership. People are excited for it. But I remember those days where it was tough because it's like you kind of don't know if this partnership is even going to help the stock. And you're just kind of making these videos into the oblivion. And for the people that actually watched it, I'm so grateful because those people still cared about the company. They cared about my thoughts on the company. And they were still part of that community that trugged along with Palantir. So it was super, super exciting and fun to see that happening. We got Mr. Tom Nash in the chat. Tom, good job on the earnings call, mate. Tom, thank you for being here. Tom, obviously one of the OGs of YouTube, one of the Palantir YouTube, obviously. Really, Tom was the reason I think Palantir, YouTube started talking about Palantir. So shout out to Tom. I mean, he's one of the main reasons that everyone got into the world of Palantir. I mean, I think, I don't think anyone really talked about Palantir at all before Tom. You know, he brought it to people's attention. He was excited about the company. So, he also got a retail interview with Shyam Sankar. That was exciting to see. 2 weeks ago, Shyam Sankar actually pulled up to where Tom lives and did an interview with him. Like the fact that the company was so willing to give people like Tom, who's been in this game for 3 years covering Palantir, an interview. I mean, it's a big deal. It's a really big deal for the company, really big deal for the entire YouTube investing community. So super, super awesome that this entire community has evolved, right? This entire community is involved. I mean, Tom was the reason I started getting into Palantir. I mean, like I knew about the company before them, but those early videos in end of 2021, it was Tom talking through, you know, what is Palantir and why is it something that we should be excited about. So shout out to him. Tom, the OG, introduced me to Amit. Yeah, a lot of people found me from Tom as well. So it's been very, very fun being on this entire journey with Palantir. Big Eyes Gallagher says, I got to know you just because of Palantir. You know, I think this is true for a lot of people. And I think if you're trying to make a career in media, like that's what it's going to be. A lot of people know Dan Ives because of Tesla, Kathy because of Tesla, Ross Gerber because of Tesla. I'm trying to think of some other investors with big stocks. I'm just blanking on it here. But there's a lot of companies that really, and investors that really pulled it off because they got something right in the beginning. And from a media perspective is because they cared enough to cover that company. I mean, it's similar to sports, dude. Like if you're covering the Knicks and the Knicks win a championship, like, dude, your name now has the credibility to talk about other things besides the Knicks because you were covering the Knicks when the Knicks won a championship. Now, no reporter who's covering the Knicks is going to get any of that credibility probably for the next 100 years because the Knicks haven't won a championship since 1972, which is why I'm wearing a Lakers jersey, even though I'm from New York. I switched teams. I'm sorry. No, I'm just kidding. My friend got me this jersey. That's why I'm wearing the jersey. Still a Knicks fan, even though I don't really care about basketball anymore, but I love LeBron. I love Kobe, obviously. But when you cover a company and you're in there day in and day out and the company ends up performing and the numbers make sense, you get to, you know, have a little bit more notoriety on your own name. And so that is what I care about in this game as well, and seeing what we can keep doing. Where has Adam been? Guys, I've said it over and over again. I guess I got to say it again. Adam is taking a break from YouTube. His channel is called Finance 411. Well, it's not on YouTube anymore. He just got tired of YouTube. I talked to him over the weekend. He just got tired of it. He's actually so humbled by the fact that you guys keep asking about him. Because I was like, dude, a lot of people are DMing you, DMing me about where the hell is Adam. And he was so humbled because Adam struggled with YouTube. Adam, he's been trying to do YouTube for a while, and he just never really got into the groove of it. Never really felt, like he could really be on YouTube sustainably. He has a wife, he has kids. Obviously, life gets in the way, so he just decided to kind of move on from YouTube, and that's okay. It is what it is, right? Sometimes it's just not meant for people, and they want to take a break. He might be back one day, he might not. So, people are thinking like Adam sold his shares. No, I talked to him on Friday. He has a lot of shares. He has many more shares than me. He's very bullish on the company. It's more so a mental health thing. He just doesn't want to put up with YouTube anymore. It's a tough game, dude. You got to deal with comments. You got to be doing it every day. Really, if you're going to do YouTube and you don't post every day, you shouldn't be doing YouTube. I mean, and Tom will tell you this. Tom knows how to grow YouTube. Tom has another channel right now that he's absolutely blowing up, called the Tom Nash Report. And that channel is primarily focused on what's going on with Israel and Gaza and all that stuff. Like, he's posting every single day, and he's really posting every single day because he knows that is an opportunity for him to really grow a subscriber base and provide content that people are looking for right now. It's what Meet Kevin did during COVID. It's what I'm doing every day with Daily Palantir. So in the context of content, look, if you're not posting every day in this hyper competitive environment for attention, you're not going to get noticed. It's just like, why am I streaming right now at 12? Oh, wow. It's already 12 a.m. It's 12 a.m. on a Tuesday night. Not only do I love it, but you've got to do this on a day like this. This is when you got to do it, right? This is the time where you got to show up, and you can't be like, oh, my voice hurts, even though I've been talking all day. Oh, I woke up at 5 a.m. I went to the gym. I worked on these guns, AK-47s. I'm like tired. My arms hurt. I want to go to bed. I could say all of that stuff. I only had one meal today, so I'm hungry as shit, but I'm not going to eat anything because I'm trying to get to 145 on my puts for my weight. Those strikes are going to get there by the end of February. That's what we're aiming for. You could say those excuses, but at the end of the day, no one gives a shit because you didn't show up, right? And so in the context of content and social media, if you don't show up, you don't have a career. You don't have a chance to have a career. And quite frankly, Adam just didn't feel like showing up every day. And so that's why he decided to take a break. And that's it. Adam 22. No, I'm not Adam 22. We're talking about Adam, the finance YouTuber, dude. Like the Palantir YouTuber, Adam 22. Ironically, I was watching an Adam 22 interview today on the treadmill today at the gym. But no, we're not talking about Adam 2022. That's the hip hop no jumper guy. Tom says Adam saved my channel when it got hacked. He's a great guy. He's an amazing guy. Adam's an absolutely amazing guy. Adam's one of, Adam's really one of my best friends in this whole community. He's awesome. He just wanted to take a break. That's it. Okay. I think we should finally end the stream. Should we end the stream? Is it time? Is it time to end? We got to be up in the morning, do the market open. Shout out to everyone joining the market open. It means the absolute world to me. Today we crossed 1,100 people. That was kind of crazy. I don't know if it was because Palantir earnings or, what I've noticed though is now, even if the market open is not talking about Palantir, the numbers are still there. For the first, few months, we had to make sure we had a Palantir segment in the market open because that's what people cared about. Now I'm noticing, dude, we'll go an entire market open without talking about Palantir and people will still show up, which at least to me is signaling that people care more about the show itself, not just the Palantir part of the show, which is good because that's how it should expand. That's how it should grow. And obviously, if Palantir does well, it just keeps helping the show. But it does seem like people are enjoying the show. So for those that are new here, definitely check out the show. Every single day, 8:45 to 10 a.m. We talk for 75 minutes straight about what's going on in the world of the markets. That's when I become more of a macro analyst, macro economist, all that stuff. And that's where we have fun in the morning. It's a fun way to start. It's like the modern day version of CNBC. That show one day might be at 5,000 people every morning, like Meet Kevin, who's got 4,000 or 5,000 people. That's just insane, right? And it's the Palantir model. Keep giving value, keep giving value, keep giving value. Eventually, you will be able to monetize. Eventually, you will be able to scale, and eventually, you will be able to keep growing. But that's what we're doing right now. That's the goal. So we got to wake up in the morning. Please make sure to follow the Twitter. Twitter's in the description. If you guys don't do anything, just make sure to follow that Twitter. If you're not on Twitter, sign up to Twitter and just follow a bunch of the people that talk about Palantir because you might as well just follow and check it every other day and get Palantir updates. It's a very thriving community on Twitter for Palantir. So please, 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 please make sure if you don't have a Twitter, sign up. We got to save Elon's ass so he doesn't go bankrupt. So give him another user and make sure to follow on Twitter because that's very important. Strawberry Cookie, thank you for the $9.99 super chat. It means the world. Appreciate you and the Palantir crew. Thank you for that. Strawberry Cookie, I love that username. I would love a strawberry cookie right now. I'd love that. Thank you so much. That's great. It means a lot. And yeah, I think that's it. So we'll do market open tomorrow. We'll have daily Palantir episode tomorrow. I think I'm probably gonna have to take a nap in the middle of the day tomorrow because there's no way I'm sleeping enough tonight. So I'm gonna have to collapse after that market open. So we'll do that. How many of you yawned when I just yawned right now? How many of you admitted in the chat that yawn was metaphysical? It was transcendent. Somebody yawned right now when I yawned. And then we'll be for the market close as well. Tomorrow at 3:45. So we'll do that. Okay. Cool. That's it. All right. I think it's time to say goodnight. You didn't give us enough time to yawn before you asked the question. Did I want to do another yawn? I'm so fucking tired now. All right. See, the thing is, I don't like ending the stream because I just love being live. That's my problem, dude. I fucking love this shit. Holding the mic right here. Like, I always wanted to be a singer, a performer. Like, literally, this is me in the studio. Guys, this is me in the studio right now. You know, rappers go in the studio, singers go into the studio, they have the mic, and they're like freestyling and they're singing, and they tell the DJ, the producer, to run it back and, like, you know, make my headphones a little louder. Like, this is my moment, dude. This is my moment. This big black microphone. Whoa, pause. Anyway, this is it's my moment. It's the fun. It's the fun of this. Kelly yawn. There we go. We got the girlfriend to yawn. That's great. That's awesome. You need the Vision Pro so you can lay in bed and stream. That would be fun. Can you stream from a Vision Pro, dude? That would actually be really fun. Maybe that's why we got to buy it. Maybe that's what we got to do. All right. Love you guys. Thank you for being here. See you 8:45 a.m. Market open. That's it. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one. See you tomorrow. Good night. Love you all. Good night. Bye.